So let's begin. The questions this week are really all about finding our calling, purpose, mission, and identity. So I have 5 questions on this. The first one is, how can I find my mission and purpose in life? And that's a good question. To be honest, I've never struggled with that personally, because really from an early age, I think actually from the day I was born again, I always knew that instinctively. And I have this sneaky suspicion, and I could be wrong, but I actually think you do too. I think in a way we fall into error when we separate our calling in terms of call to salvation, called into fellowship with God, from our calling as in call to preach or teach, or call to start a business, call. I think God calls you. And I don't actually see this separation into, I think God calls you. He calls you out of darkness into light. He calls you into fellowship with Him. He calls you out of sin into righteousness. And I believe in a sense, you'll never really find your calling in that classical sense. Be a pastor, start an orphanage, be a mom, business, whatever. You won't really find that until you find that calling in terms of an identity, in a relationship with God. Yeah? You were called, Paul talks about that in Romans 8. It's one of those, probably the most misquoted verse in the Bible. It says, all things work together for the good of those who love God, those who are the called according to His purpose. And then it says, whom He foreknew, whom He called, I was misquoted, but let me read it accurately. Romans 8:29, whom He foreknew, He also predestined to be conformed to the image of His Son, that He might be the firstborn amongst many brethren. Jesus used to be the only begotten Son of God. He's now the firstborn amongst many brethren. And the primary call of God on your life is to be conformed into the image of His Son. So how do you find your call? I would actually say spend a lot of time in relationship with the Lord, be in His presence. When, like Isaiah, you spend a lot of time in God's presence, out of the overflow of fellowship and intimacy from the throne room, Isaiah, I'm a Brit. No, I'm an American. Isaiah comes in, and of course, his first thing is the fear of the Lord. Whoa. His second thing is dealing with the sin in his life, cold from the altar. For us, it's the blood of Jesus, thank God. But afterwards, out of that place of holiness of worship, there's a here am I, send me. So rather than fill out some silly form and have some computer AI thing tell you what your call is, I would say press more into your real call, which is to abide, to rest, to remain, to stay in Jesus. And then from the overflow of that call, you'll hear that mission, that here am I, send me. Boom.